Welcome to today's zoology class. In the last so many classes, we have been discussing about genes, chromosomes, and the patterns of inheritance proposed by Mendel and so many other scientists, followed by him. Now we know that genes are responsible for the expression of phenotypic characters. And these genes are located on the chromosomes. So as genes are responsible for the expression of phenotype in organisms, a change in the gene, any sort of change in a gene will definitely affect the expression of the phenotype. Not only a change in the gene, but a change in the chromosome also would affect the expression of the phenotype because chromosomes are the carriers of genes. So both a change in the gene and also a change in the chromosome of any manner would affect the expression of the phenotype in an individual. So such a change taking place in a gene or on a chromosome is called mutation. So we are going to discuss about mutation. So what are mutations? Mutations are any change that are happening in a gene or in a chromosome. As chromosomes are the carriers of these genes, a change in the chromosome would ultimately affect the gene. So this is called mutation. So we can say that mutations are of two types. Mutations that are happening to genes and mutations that are happening to chromosomes. Mutations that are happening to chromosomes are of two categories again. That may be a structural change. A change in the structure of the chromosome. That means a chromosome part can be removed, deleted. Or a chromosome part can be added. Another chromosome may be added to a chromosome. That is addition. So a deletion, addition, and even substitution can take place in a chromosome. Such structural changes are there. And these structural changes would affect the genes also because genes are situated on this chromosome. When a part of the chromosome is deleted, all those genes which are present on that part of the chromosome will also be deleted. So in that way, a chromosomal structural change can affect the genes and the expression of the phenotype also. And the second thing that is happening to the chromosome is the numerical change. The chromosome number can be changed. That we will discuss in another class. So, two ways the chromosomal mutations can happen, structurally and numerically. These are together called chromosomal aberrations. So, any mutation or any change that is happening to a chromosome is also referred to as chromosomal aberrations. And the second category of mutations is the mutations that is happening to gene. These are called gene mutation or point mutation. So why is it called point mutation? Because genes are situated on a small portion of the chromosome, at a point on the chromosome. As far as the size of the chromosome is concerned, when we compare the size of the chromosome with the size of the gene occupies a very small portion of the chromosome, a point on the chromosome. So it is also called a point mutation. Gene mutations are also called point mutation. Okay. So now, what are the reasons for this mutation? There are so many reasons for mutation. It can be classified. There are the reasons or the agents that cause mutations are called mutagens. The agents that cause mutations are called mutagens. And mutagens can be grouped mainly into two categories: chemical mutagens and physical mutagens. Mutations that occur due to a chemical substance or chemical substances that cause mutations are called chemical mutagens. A variety of chemical substances are known to change the genes. And physical mutagens are there, like temperature, ionizing radiations, and other cosmic rays, ultraviolet rays can also cause mutations. So these come under the physical mutagens. So mutagens can be chemical mutagens and physical mutagens. And whatever may be the mutation, whether it is a chromosomal mutation or chromosomal aberration or point mutation or gene mutation, mutations lead to certain diseases or abnormalities or syndrome in the body. So mutations can occur to chromosomes of every cell. We know we have somatic cells and germ cells. Somatic cells are the ordinary cells of the body which make up the body, which forms the mass of the body, which form the structure of the body. Germ cells, we know they take part in the process of reproduction. They are gametes. Germ cells are the gametes. So in all cells, chromosomes are there, and these chromosomes bear the genes, and these genes are susceptible to mutations. So mutations can occur, genes of both somatic cells and germ cells. But a mutation occurring in an individual in the germ cells only, germ cells alone, would be transferred to the next generation. Obviously, you know the reason. Because a new individual is formed as a result of fusion of male gamete and female gamete. Somatic cells do not take part in the process of reproduction. So, for example, a mutation that is taking place in a muscle cell would not be transferred to the next generation because muscle cells do not take part in the process of reproduction. So the effect of that mutation may remain within the individual alone, and that will not be transferred to the next generation. But a mutation that is happening in the germ cells will be transferred to the next generation, and in the next generation that mutation will reflect as a disease or an abnormality. Okay, now we are going to study about certain disorders due to mutation. As there are two types of mutations, chromosomal mutation and gene mutation or point mutation, the disorders or diseases caused by these mutations are of two types. Diseases or disorders caused by chromosomal mutations and diseases or disorders caused by gene mutations. So, we will first discuss about the disorders caused by gene mutation or point mutation. So, this is also called Mendelian disorders. Disorders caused by gene mutation or point mutation are also called Mendelian disorders. Actually, these disorders have no connection with Gregor-Mendel, but they are called Mendelian disorders because their pattern of inheritance is in the same way as envisaged by the Gregor-Mendel, as proposed by, as suggested by Gregor-Mendel. So that is why these disorders are called Mendelian disorders, because their pattern of inheritance is in the same way as Mendel's findings. These disorders are due to a single gene mutation of a single gene. So as a result of this mutation, a dominant gene may be converted to a recessive gene and cause certain abnormalities, diseases, or a recessive gene may be converted to a dominant gene and that will lead to certain diseases or disorders. And the gene mutation can be on the autosomal mutation, or it can be on the sex chromosome, probably on the X chromosome. So autosomal mutations are there, allosomal mutations are also there, sex chromosomal mutations are also there. Now we shall discuss certain examples related to Mendelian disorders or disorders due to gene mutation. Of course, there are so many disorders, so many diseases are there, like haemophilia, sickle cell anemia, phenylketonuria, color blindness, thalassemia, like so many single gene mutations or diseases caused by single gene mutations or Mendelian disorders are there. So we shall first discuss about haemophilia. What is haemophilia? Haemophilia is also called Bleeder's syndrome. It is also called Bleeder's syndrome because a person affected by haemophilia fails to clot the blood released as a result of an injury. So in normal case, we know when an injury takes place, when an injury happens, blood oozes out. After a short period, the blood clots and the bleeding stops. As a result of blood clotting, the bleeding stops. You have studied this in the first year. But in the case of hemophilic people, the blood does not clot, or blood clotting takes a longer period, resulting in the loss of much quantity of blood. That may even lead to death sometimes. By the loss of blood continuously from the wound, sometimes the wound may be a very minor wound, even though the blood oozes out continuously, and that may lead to great loss of blood before the blood clots, or that may even sometimes lead to death of the person. So this is the condition of hemophilia. It is also called a royal disease. It was called royal disease by some people because this disease was prevailed in the royal family of London, England. Okay. Haemophilia is a sex-linked disease. That means the gene responsible, the mutated gene responsible for this disease is situated on the X chromosome. As X chromosome is a sex determining chromosome, the disease is also called a sex-linked disease. The disease is due to a mutation. The normal gene as well as the mutated gene. The normal gene is a dominant gene that is situated on the X chromosome. When undergoes mutation, that becomes a recessive gene. The normal dominant gene is responsible for a factor for blood clotting. That is called factor 8. There are almost 13 different types of factors required for blood clotting. So in the first year, you have not studied the details of blood clotting. But actually it's a cascade of chemical reactions involving almost 13 different types of factors. So out of these 13 different types of factors, a very important factor, a protein factor, is called factor 8. This factor 8 is produced by, or its production is controlled by a gene situated on the X chromosome. That is a dominant gene. The gene is denoted by capital H. Is on the X chromosome. But when this gene gets mutated, the gene becomes a recessive gene and it fails to produce the factor 8. When it gets mutated, it fails to produce the factor 8. So in the absence of the factor 8, or sometimes in the presence of very less amount of factor 8, the blood fails to clot and the person becomes hemophilic. So this is how hemophilia occurs. Okay. Now let us see the inheritance of hemophilia. How does hemophilia inherit from one generation to another generation? Hemophilia is a very rare disease that occurs one in 5,000 people in the society, in the human population. One in almost 5,000 people in the human population. So it is a rare disease, not very common. And different types of hemophilia are there. Hemophilia A, B, C, like different types of hemophilia are there. Details you need not study now. Okay. So males are most affected by this disease because this is a sex-linked or X-linked disease. The disease causing mutated gene, recessive gene, is on the X chromosome. We know females have 2 X chromosomes and males have only 1 X chromosome and 1 Y chromosome. So Y chromosome does not carry this gene. Only X chromosome carries this gene. So as females have 2 X chromosomes, for a female to be hemophilic, both the X chromosome should contain the mutated recessive allele. That happens very rarely. Even if one X chromosome carries the mutated gene, due to the presence of the normal dominant gene on the other X chromosome of the homologous pair, the female becomes normal. Because only the character of the dominant allele is expressed. We know that. So mostly the females are spared. And males, as they have only one X chromosome, they are mostly affected because if that X chromosome happens to have this mutated recessive gene, they will be affected and they will have hemophilia because they have only one X chromosome. There is no counterpart X chromosome to compensate this recessive allele with a dominant allele. Okay, now let us see how the inheritance happens. Let us take the case of a couple. The female here is a carrier and a male is normal. What do you mean carrier? A carrier female is a female which carries the recessive disease-causing allele on one X chromosome, but on one X chromosome they have normal dominant allele. As they have normal dominant allele, they are normal. Because of the influence of the dominant allele, they will not get the disease, they will be normal. So such a female is called a carrier female. They will not get the disease, they will not have any problem, they do not have hemophilia. They are as normal as any other individual, but they are carrier. They are called carriers. Suppose a carrier woman marries a normal man, as it is depicted here in the diagram here. Now let us see the gametes produced. See the gametes. The gametes produced by the females, 50% of the gametes with the recessive allele, small h, recessive allele. There is a disease-causing allele. And 50% of the gametes with the normal, dominant allele. And in the case of male, 50% of the gametes is with the normal allele with X chromosome, dominant allele with X chromosome, and 50% of the gametes with the Y chromosome. Y chromosome has no role in the hemophilia here because it does not carry the allele. Okay. Now see the progeny produced or children produced. Among the children produced, all the females are normal. Even though they carry the allele, they are carriers. 50% of the females are normal, 50% of the females are carriers. But none of them are hemophilic. They are spared. What are the males? Male in the children? 50% of the males are normal and 50% of the males are hemophilic. See, when no female children are affected here, male individuals are affected because they have only one X chromosome. So that doesn't mean that a female will not get the hemophilia. Of course, female also will get, but what should be the condition? For a female to get the hemophilia, both the X chromosome should carry the recessive allele. Such conditions rarely occur, and let us see that condition also here. A carrier female marries a hemophilic man. In such cases, see the gametes produced here. Half of the gametes here, there is a female, half of the gametes here with a normal dominant allele and half with the recessive allele, and in the case of male, half of the gametes, half of the sperms with the recessive allele and half with the Y chromosome. Okay, now see how the children are produced. Among the females produced, half of the females are carriers and half, 50% are hemophilic, because they get on both X chromosomes the recessive allele. And what about the males here? What about the males here? Half of the males are normal and half of the males are hemophilic. So for a female to be hemophilic, both the X chromosomes should get the recessive allele, and recessive alleles should be in a homozygous condition. Then only the females will get the disease. That very rarely occurs. But a male, as they have only one X chromosome, if that X chromosome happens to carry the recessive allele, they get the disease. So this is the pattern of inheritance of hemophilia. And we shall stop the class here, and we will continue in the next class with the other Mendelian disorders. Okay, bye.